Looking at where we are, and I'd really like to hear your analysis of this all. But you're also in the governing council of the National Taxpayers Association. Our tax regime has been grandly affected by this coronavirus pandemic. How do things look like from your side?
One of the things that we look at is that the coronavirus has affected at the lower levels a lot more. The businesses at the lower levels have been affected. And once we look at how the tax regime is responding to the issues of the lower consumers and the lower income traders, we feel that nothing has truly been done to support the low income traders, because even when you're looking at the response to the economic, the recovery packages, one of the things that it was mega, horticulture at a mega level. But when looking at subsistence, people at community level, nothing has been done. When we speak at horticulture, but we never speak about even the lower level of women who do aquaculture, the women who do fishing and trade, but they all pay tax. So part of it is that when we look at the response, those industries at all levels were hit. But the fact is that we are only looking at a higher level. So how come, when we look at this, is that the response has not been holistically towards persons within the lower communities, persons who are evicted from the spaces where they exist, for example, in the markets, who has responded to the people who were removed from the markets who used to do trade at that particular level because of COVID. So even in terms of reallocation of spaces and ensuring that they can go back to doing trade, we have a lot of challenges.
So looking at some of the interventions really from the government, waiving of tax for low-income earners, cutting it down by 25 to 25% for the rest of the group. Would you say this has meant much for the common Kenyan?
The tax has gone down, but the costs of expenses have gone higher. So part of the whole question is that whilst we are talking about a wider tax relief, how many people fit within the tax relief if other things do not go down? So you look at the wider band. Has VAT gone down, the cost of goods, those kind of things? Do we get tax relief within those kind of places? Or even when you're talking about relief to even the different persons living with different disabilities, how are they being mapped so that then they're able to get tax reliefs within that particular spaces where they exist? Because even at this particular level, they're still supposed to be assessed. So even when you're talking about the tax reliefs which are supposed to be received, there needs to be a better assessment so that then we are looking at the reach of that tax band and the revenue collectors to those particular people who were deeply affected at the lower units, who lost their jobs. So part of it is that when you're looking at the response, who is responding to the job cuts and the job losses in the industries like small eateries where people no longer go to eat because people don't have work. So those are the kind of places where we are looking at. Look at the lower tax payers who are not at the mega level where they're seen. So these lower tax people who pay tax are, in my opinion, forgotten.
So then is this something you expect the president to address on Thursday during the State of the Nation address?
Yes, it is important to address those issues because this is where, for us, who also work with women in trade, who work at the lower income in the markets and in those spaces where then they're not able to trade as effectively as before, it is important for the president to actually address these issues of ensuring that we are able to then participate more holistically as small taxpayers, not only as the larger taxpayers who then got a wider benefit, and then expand also the different industries and even the cottage industries who have been affected. Because, for example, when we look at the industries like the aquaculture sector, for example, who have been affected by the closure of borders, and some of the materials which they use like nets come from overseas. So it means that particularly China, it means that when they're importing all these products, the cost has gone higher. So it means the cost of doing business has become more expensive for that type of business person. So we would like these people to engage at that level, so that we say that the smaller taxpayers must also be included in that conversation of rebates.